This is DSC 21. We're doing this shit. We're about to get into this fucking shit. I want to remind you, if you happen to be at Coachella, this weekend, go check out the music from my friend LEALANI. LEALANI, friend of DSC, who's performing live at Coachella this weekend. Show support for an amazing, amazing artist. I'll say this right now. LEALANI is on some Bjork level shit. LEALANI is eventually going to be doing, you know, commercials for fucking, I don't know, Buick, where she probably is going to be in a car getting sent to Mars or some shit. So start now. Go watch the episode of DSC where I was talking to LEALANI. Go listen to Fantastic Planet, a fantastic album. Support LEALANI if you're at Coachella. Send LEALANI some positive vibes during a performance. Just do their thing. All right, before we get into the show as well, I got to remind you all that we're sponsored. We're sponsored and helped by your donations at patreon.com/valet. Things are shifting around in there a little bit. You might see some changes, but I've been posting on there, posting some secret stuff that you will only see on Patreon. Get in there now, because if you get in there right now, you're going to have a chance to get sketches from me sent to your door. The system we're going to use to be sending sketches is going to be changing a little bit. So everyone who's been a patron in there is going to be rewarded. Future patrons are going to be rewarded a bit of a different way. We're going to start using a bit of a raffle technique for sketches being sent in the mail. So everybody won out. Basically, my price is going up on my drawings. I can't be sending them to everybody because I only have a limited amount of hands and fingers. Okay, DSC 21, we're getting into it. Wow. All right, so we're going to do something a little different. For you audio listeners, as you know, with everything else on this show, you should be watching the video version so you can see what I'm doing. I'm drawing on top of a very special video that Donald Glover just put out for Adidas. Adidas Originals, right? I'm drawing right on top of this thing. Unfortunately, I can't pause. I don't have that capability yet. Monique just roasting Donald for fucking 6 minutes. This video is just beautiful, and I get the impression, don't know how true this is, but I get the impression that the Adidas people have watched Atlanta. You know, they've seen Donald stuff enough to really understand that this group royalty is able to go places. They're able to go places that, you know, traditional directors, or like all the stuff that we're used to in commercials, that they can't go to. They're going to these new realms. New places where you can eat grits. You can make a video about grits and whatnot. Just adding some splashy shapes. Some splashy, nice shapes to this. It's cool to see. I like when actors fake paint. I like when actors are drawing, or people who don't draw traditionally are drawing like this. See, boom, boom, boom. Give me that painting. That painting. Oop, I wanted to draw right on his face. Let me get that eyeball. The spilled paint. This is really Ern's journey. This is Ern's second journey. After season 2, in between season 2 and 3 of Atlanta, this is what he did. I'm gonna lower the opacity on this brush a little bit to see if I get a different sort of look. Ooh, it's kind of burned. Oh, looks like we have a challenger. Looks like we have a card to work with. What is this? What's going on? Tethered. This is a Valet the Summoning card. Tethered. Now, my imperative is to... Alright, so I'm going to snap this in half and join it with something else to see what happens. Alright, let me get a screenshot. Alright, now we're on our Inception shit. Now we're in the fucking zone. This is where shit gets real fucking weird, okay? I'm gonna slice off a piece of this. Since this is the tethered, right? I'm gonna squeeze it down. So I got a piece of my my other piece. Piece of my piece. Skull, right? I'm not gonna use all of this. I'm gonna use what I think is going to be what fits most of the composition, which is probably this mask. No one cared who I was until I put on the mask. Hope you all are working on some nice, cool shit right now. Hope you're challenging yourselves and making mistakes. I think that's where artistic growth lives, is in mistake making, as well as, you know, it's a balance between mistake making and doing the stuff that you know that works. So the practice of doing the fundamentals and then consistently and deliberately breaking those systems. My tea is delicious. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna call that son of a bitch done. There's me in the corner. There's Donald on the side. Is it perfect? No. But what is? Let's see what happens if we do this. This is about to get real interesting. I'm gonna slap some chroma on top of this to basically create a window, an interdimensional window. Let's see what happens when I do this. Oh, dude, listen. Wow. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I mean. Whoa, I like this. I'm really liking this now. See, I'm on top of it. I'm inside of it. It's inside of me. We're having sex, maybe, me in this video. I don't know. Now we're going to call this thing done. Before I start talking about assignments and whatnot, I want to remind you all that if you want to turn assignments in and share them and have them shared on this show potentially, or ask me questions or whatever, ask at domrabrun.com. That's all. Ask at domrabrun.com. Send your questions, send your videos, send your pictures, audio, whatever. Ask at domrabrun.com. Today we have a beautiful email about the Neil Gaiman challenge from last week. David Girth says, "Hey Dom, hope everything is well. Thanks for that Neil Gaiman challenge and sharing it. I found it very helpful. I've been trying to write short stories even though I'm a math nerd and not that creative, but I like to read. I found that I was able to find my creativity through that exercise, and it made me want to keep writing. I'll keep using it in the future." David, that's beautiful. That's amazing. Don't matter if you're a math nerd. You know what I mean? Like, here's another Neil Gaiman quote. I'm just filled with that shit, all right? I'm filled with Neil Gaiman quotes and stories. It's my dude, okay? I remember Neil Gaiman saying at some point that if you want to write Tolkien fantasy, if you want to write horror, if you want to write whatever genre, you have to go outside of your genre. You have to go outside of it, because what he said was that Tolkien didn't read Tolkien fantasies. You know, they didn't exist back then. So he was reading stuff on, well, what Gaiman says is philology. I don't even know what that fucking is. But he was reading books on stuff that had nothing to do with what he was making. So I think that's an asset. That means it's an asset for you to be a math nerd. I think you might be surprised, David, about what you can accomplish knowing math really well, and knowing that, I mean, look, math and science, that's the structure of this universe. That's how we measure this universe. And I think potentially, you know, you could bring some really interesting perspectives to stories that, you know, us like more traditionally creative people, traditional art people come up with. Last week's assignment was to take a video game, a movie, whatever piece of media from your youth, and to make some work out of it. To make a video out of it, 30 seconds max. And I'm going to show you what I made. It's based on Siphon Filter with some audio from Nosferatu, NOS4A2, music from ALVVAYS, sprinkled some Dark Tower in there. Shout out to Beezy. Let's see what happens.
She didn't know if he hurt her. She could hardly hear herself. Her ears whined, shocked into something close to deafness by the roar of the gas-masked man's .38. She could barely hear Manx yelling to her, "Shoot her! Shoot her already!" Her heels squeaked in the wet grass as she turned. She was moving at last. She lowered her head, grabbing at her helmet, wanting it off before she got where she was going. She felt comically slow.
Siphon Filter. Video game from my youth. Video game from my youth that I made into something. And, you know, I didn't bust my anus working on that. I just felt it, and I went in there, made it. And I like it. That audio, little trivia for you. I made that last year when I was listening to a lot of Kate Mulgrew because I love her voice. I love how she narrates. NOS 482, great work. If you want to know any of these references that I'm dropping, all that stuff is in the show notes, by the way. You can cop that stuff on Amazon through the links in the show notes. This week's assignment it's a shout out to Notre Dame. Shout out to the cathedral, which fucking burned down last week, which is insane. So I feel kind of obligated to talk about it. And in the spirit of creativity, it's like I don't really want to sit around and talking about the burning and how awful it is that art is lost and all that stuff. I want to make something. I want you to make something for this assignment. So with this one, what we're going to do is this. You're going to be making a 30-second video about an old building of artistic or cultural relevance specifically to you. Whatever culture it is your people are from, what country you're in, some building that, let's say, is older than 200 years. It's got to be older than 200 years. You're going to make a 30-second video about it, about this building. Find out something new about the building that's culturally relevant, a piece of art in there, and make a video out of it. Obviously, like I like to make weird videos. You can make your video not weird. This is going to be like one of those book reports you used to do in school, except this will be actually interesting. So 30-second video on a building or artifact, whatever, of cultural significance. And that is due by, because due dates are good, and I haven't been doing those, that's due by Wednesday the 24th. Wednesday, April 24th, 2019. That's when it's due by. If you want it to be shared. If you want it to be shared on the next episode, that's when you have to send it in by. All right, folks. Thank you all for watching, for being here with me, for supporting me. Don't forget patreon.com/valet if you like what's happening here. I would love to get your feedback in the comments below about this new format. I'm loving the new format. I want to know if you all are fucking with it. And also audio listeners, I want to hear from you all on iTunes and Spotify. Let me know what's happening in your world. I wish creativity for you. I wish that you go out and do your self-affirmations, tell yourself that you're worth it and what you're making is worth it, even if it's not perfect. Because none of this is. That's the secret. We're all going to die. Nothing's perfect. Isn't that great? All right, folks. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for being here.
What I look like, a valet?
Keep it, it's yours.